Good evening from San Ignacio Town. With the 9 o'clock news, I am Patrick Jones. In the headlines, mid-afternoon murder shocks the community of Benqueviejo del Carmen. Special envoy for women and children wraps up working visit to Taiwan. And media workers explore setting up foundation in honor of fallen colleague. Stay tuned for details of these and other stories coming up after these messages.
Take a moment, feel the rhythm of life. It keeps beating.
What if you took just a few seconds of every day to help someone else?
Every minute, it's yours and mine, mine.
It's amazing how the smallest things can have the greatest impact.
Make a difference. Pay it forward. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Are you always on the go? Tired of missing your favorite games while they're actually being played? Watch your games and sporting events live with Central TV and Internet's incredible MyTV. Simply log on to www.mitv.bz to get easy access to 25 channels, no matter where you are. With Central TV and Internet's MyTV, you're always in the game.
More vehicle owners are switching to the PureGuard line of motor oils, and with good reason. PureGuard comes in different grades and specifications. It carries the API certification and comes with the Westrac stamp of approval, guaranteed to make your engine run cleaner and longer, up to 10,000 miles. With PureGuard motor oil, your engine will have less wear and tear, give you maximum performance on the road, and give your vehicle better fuel mileage.
PureGuard, good quality, affordable oil.
Distributed exclusively by Westrac Limited, with branches in Spanish Lookout, Belmopan, Belize City, and Orange Walk Town. Here now is the news in details. A mid-afternoon murder in Benqueviejo del Carmen today has left the community in shock. Just after 3 o'clock this afternoon, word emerged that 25-year-old Keisha Buller had been fatally stabbed at her home. When our news team arrived at the scene of the brutal attack at number 28 George Street, neighbors were gathering in shocked disbelief, and police had already cordoned off the area and were processing the crime scene. According to preliminary reports, Buller was stabbed multiple times to her neck and body, allegedly by her husband, who reports say fled the scene after the murder. He was reportedly taken into police custody a short time later on the George Price Highway as he apparently was heading to Belize City. A motive for the shocking murder has not yet been determined, and we will continue to update this story as more information becomes available. Late this evening, the officer commanding Benqueviejo del Carmen Police Superintendent Daniel Arzu confirmed that Buller was stabbed multiple times by her common-law husband during an argument. Superintendent Arzu says that preliminary investigations indicate that the grandmother of the victim, Keisha Buller, was present at the house at the time of the fatal incident, in which she was stabbed multiple times to the neck and body. Keisha Buller was taken to the San Ignacio Community Hospital for medical treatment, but she died shortly after arrival. The Special Envoy for Women and Children, Kim Simplice Barrow, today wrapped up a 5-day working visit to the Republic of China, Taiwan. An official release says that Mrs. Barrow's time in Taipei was at the invitation of the Taiwanese officials. During the visit, the special envoy called on Mrs. Chow Mei-ching, spouse of the President of the Republic, as well as David Lin, the Taiwanese Minister of Foreign Affairs. According to the official release, Mrs. Barrow also explored possible areas of cooperation when she met with the chairman of the Cathay Charity Foundation. During the visit, Mrs. Barrow was also conferred with the Fervent Global Love of Lives Medal by the Chow Ta Kwan Cultural and Educational Foundation for overcoming the pains and difficulties of life with her indomitable courage and persistence while making sacrifices for others. A short ceremony was held this morning in Belmopan for the swearing-in of a new government minister. Newly elected area representative for Dangriga, Frank Mena, was administered the oath of office by Governor General Sir Colville Young, making him the Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security. The ceremony at Belize House in Belmopan was witnessed by Mena's family and friends. Following the official swearing-in, Minister Mena spoke with reporters about plans for the way forward.
What I'm going to do before that, just pretty much try big and get for them. So we need to catch up. We need to lobby, to get the jobs in town, to get investment in that area, to make sure people then get their land, to make sure they straighten up their stuff, make the kids in our school. So I run with that. I make sure that, because if we people are right, like me and my family, I get the education. My sister, somebody, no me get. But when I get, I can look out. And education has done well for me. We still got a enough we community where when one gets the education, the uplift education that for freedom education has done it for us. And I tell my people, we need to go to school, make us say how hard we can push, make sure you get to education, so you can defend yourself, make sure that the education will get it fit in within the context of how we go.
Mena won Wednesday's by-election to fill the vacant seat in the House of Representatives for Dangriga. He will be sworn in as a member of that body at the next sitting, a date for which has not yet been announced by the Speaker. The funeral service for fallen journalist Kareem Clark is set for Saturday afternoon in Belize City. Clark, who worked with the Amandala newspaper, was gunned down in the early hours of Monday morning at the corner of Vernon and Lakeview Streets. The Amandala newspaper has announced a reward of $4,000 for information leading to the arrest of the person who fired the fatal shots that killed the 27-year-old print journalist. Almost a week after the murder, police appear to be no closer at solving the crime, and the motive for the homicide, which was captured on surveillance video, is not yet known. Members of the media, meanwhile, met today at the UNICEF office on Coney Drive in Belize City to begin the process of setting up a memorial for Clark, who is fondly remembered by his colleagues as a quiet and humble giant who let his volume of work speak for him. At the end of the meeting, the news editor for Creme Radio and Television, Marisol Amaya, explained that standing up for Kareem Clark involves standing against the circumstances and persons who took him away.
As you rightly said, I think Kareem, as unassuming as he was, he touched all of us. And so today, 13 people from 5 media houses who could make it here for our first meeting to ensure that, you know, his death just doesn't go just like that, right? So what we decided to make this meaningful, make Kareem's life mean something to everyone, and, you know, just to keep his presence there. I know he will be in our memories forever, but, you know, to also galvanize society. It's a reality that we're facing right now, that it was crime that took him away from us. And so, you know, we want to tell the people behind all these murders, you know, you are hurting us, and we want to tell you that you need to stop, right? And so this is basically to say that. And
the family has asked that in lieu of wreaths, flowers, and cards, contributions may be made towards the feeding program for St. Joseph Roman Catholic Primary School in Belize City, which will be collected at the funeral service on Saturday afternoon. Amaya says that a special fund will be created for continuous contributions to this cause, and his writing contributions will also be remembered.
What we've decided is to just to galvanize the concept that the family seems to have close at heart, which is the feeding program. And so we decided that we will create a Kareem Clark Memorial Fund, and that out of that fund we will contribute to the St. Joseph feeding program. We'll have a big event one time per year around Kareem Clark's birthday, which is November 21st, where we will be accepting contributions, but we will also create an account, that's the purpose of the fund, for people to contribute, but 3 times per year, just to keep his memory alive, we will organize a canned food drive at different stores, and also a part of the big event, we will have an essay competition where on that day the winner of that essay competition will be announced, because as you know, I've said before that Kareem wrote beautifully. He was someone who rose to basically overcome his circumstances and show that he was able to overcome those circumstances, and he became an all-arounder, learning, you know, reporting for the Amandala, reporting for Creme Radio, for Creme Television. He was a cameraman, so many things in media. And this is just to show that this one young man coming out of a marginalized area of society was able to succeed.
Kareem is survived by his loving mother, Julia Clark of Belize City, his father, Emery Samuels of the USA, and his stepmother, Clarita Montero, and a whole host of other relatives and friends. His body will be received at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon for funeral services at 2 o'clock at the St. Joseph Church. Kareem Clark, dead at age 27. May his soul rest in peace and rise in glory. BCB Holdings and the Belize Bank Limited have been trying to collect some $44 million in damages and costs owed by the government of Belize in settlement of a settlement deed made in 2005, which proposed in part to treat BCB favorably with regard to taxes. The Caribbean Court of Justice in 2013 refused to allow the judgment of the London Court of International Arbitration given 4 years earlier to stand, ruling that, quote, the 2005 settlement deed was illegal, void, and contrary to public policy, and the Caribbean courts have an obligation to strike down executive action that undermines the authority of the legislature, end of quote. However, attorney for BCB Senior Counsel Eamon Courtney suggested that his clients could go wherever government has assets and attempt to enforce the judgment there, subject only to a ruling on whether it would contravene public policy in that jurisdiction. Last year, BCB and the Belize Bank filed suit in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia based in Washington, D.C., and on June 24th, Judge Colleen Coller-Cotterley ruled in their favor. She dismissed a motion to dismiss the petition and complaint, which had claimed, among other things, that the court lacks subject matter jurisdiction because Belize is entitled to foreign sovereign immunity. The government also argued that the foreign judgment is against public policy and conflicts with the final CCJ judgment. Judge Coller-Cotterley ruled that as England, via the London Court of International Arbitration, is the country of primary jurisdiction, only a court there may set aside the award. The CCJ ruling, she stated, did not preclude her court from ruling on it. She added that the government had not met the burden of proving its public policy defense, where it had argued that the U.S. has a policy against government corruption. Prime Minister Dean Barrow has not commented on the ruling, but has famously and strenuously resisted enforcing arbitral awards in Belize, believing that Belizean courts should make those decisions. You're watching the 9 o'clock news. Stay tuned for more of the day's stories right after these messages.
Belize Camping Experience would like to thank everyone who makes BCE successful and meaningful.
To our summer camp supporters and volunteers who came from communities across Belize.
To all who supported, contributed,
and volunteered with our Harvest for Kids project.
Funds raised through last year's rice and corn crop will help maintain BCE's children's programs through 2015.
You can also support BCE by buying your bag of Circle R Premium Rice with the Harvest for Kids logo, now in a new package.
Together we can and will make a positive difference in this beautiful country of Belize.
You too can ride off into the sunset. Milon motorbikes are very affordable. There's a high availability for parts and a wide selection of models to choose from. My Milon, my bike. Available countrywide.
Hi.
Hi. Patience. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Welcome back to the 9 o'clock news. He has never been criminally charged, but Police Constable Glenn Wayne Grant is believed to be the man who shot and killed plainclothes police detective Dean Yearwood Jr. while responding to a robbery in progress at the corner of Nargosta Street and Central American Boulevard in Belize City in September of 2013. Yearwood, who was off duty, was held up by one Brian Vasquez, allegedly for his firearm, which he used on the would-be robber. Grant, also in plain clothes and leaving special duty, rode up on the scene and opened fire 11 times, but one of his shots caught his fellow officer and killed him. Now, Yearwood's family is suing the department and government for the unlawful death of their loved one. The case took place this week in the Supreme Court before Justice Shauna Young. The Yearwood family is being represented by Philip Palacio, who spoke to our colleagues at 7 News.
In this case, there has been no dispute as to who the shooter was, and there has been no dispute as to where the fatal bullet came from. And it came from Mr. Grant. He did not dispute it at all. We brought a claim on behalf of the family after 20 months. After the incident, no criminal charges has been brought against anybody, and we have been negotiating with the government for a while, and so this matter had to come to court. We relied solely on the evidence of Mr. Ryan Swift, who is the homeowner where the incident occurred, directly where the incident occurred at the corner of Augusta and Central American Boulevard. And Mr. Swift essentially came to court and he said that he witnessed the incident, and while the defendant has claimed that he fired in self-defense, Mr. Swift's statement is totally different. He witnessed a struggle in his yard between two persons, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, somebody just came and started to fire shots. The story that came out afterwards was that there was some robbery, and then Mr. Grant came upon the scene, and upon coming upon the scene, he then started to get a control of the situation, and then shots were fired.
Grant, who worked at Precinct 1, has suggested that he did not recognize his fellow officer and that Yearwood fired first and he only responded in kind. Among those who testified were the neighbor who witnessed the incident, Ryan Swift, and a ballistics officer from the National Forensic Science Service. Palacio contends that the court must decide whether Grant's actions were justifiable or whether they were reckless or negligence.
We started working at the end of June. Nonetheless, it was a little bit late, no? In terms of starting a couple months before the 1-year period had expired for us to bring any claim against the government. So we had to move pretty fast. But in terms of the sentiments expressed by the family, of course, feels that very, very aggrieved by this entire situation. We did our best. We put forward our evidence. Of course, in this case, there is a singular tribunal. So we have one tribunal of fact and one tribunal of the law. And so it is her leadership who will make a determination as to the quality of the evidence that we put forward.
Justice Young is to rule following written submissions by both sides. The Cotton Tree Village Council has a grievance with the Barrow administration dating back to last year, when government decided to set aside 240 lots in a section of the village to be shared up between 8 UDP-controlled Belize City constituencies. According to the council, as the duly elected representatives of the village in Eastern Cayo District, they were not consulted about the decision and brought a lawsuit against the Ministry of Natural Resources. Following months of case management, a one-day trial was held in the courtroom of Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin on Thursday. Attorney for the council, Andrew Marshallek, dismissed the chief argument raised by the Ministry of Natural Resources as to the boundary of Cotton Tree Village.
Well, there are 3 witness statements put forward and they're quite extensive. I don't know that I can tell you everything that's in them, but in essence, the government disputes that the land on the right side of the highway forms a part of Cotton Tree Village. The suggestion is that the village ends on the left side of the highway, so that none of the legal requirements for dealing within lands within the village were satisfied.
Sir, what is the response of your clients to this particular issue that they've raised?
Rubbish.
No, can you expand on that? Why exactly do your clients feel that it is an argument that holds no weight?
Because they've lived there in excess of very many years, for decades, and they've always known residents to also occupy that side.
Politically speaking, Area Representative Julius Espat takes credit for this assault on the government, whom he says are not standing for right.
I don't want to challenge it. It's the truth. We are assaulting him because we want to change this government, because we believe that they're standing for the wrong things. And what we are doing here in court is, again, one of those assaults, if you want to call it that, to prove that he is wrong. And we are using the legal recourse in this instance. So this is the first time I'm kind of agreeing with him.
The Chief Justice has reserved his decision in the case. The news on the national channel.
More vehicle owners are switching to the PureGuard line of motor oils, and with good reason. PureGuard comes in different grades and specifications. It carries the API certification and comes with the Westrac stamp of approval, guaranteed to make your engine run cleaner and longer, up to 10,000 miles. With PureGuard motor oil, your engine will have less wear and tear, give you maximum performance on the road, and give your vehicle better fuel mileage.
PureGuard, good quality, affordable oil.
Distributed exclusively by Westrac Limited, with branches in Spanish Lookout, Belmopan, Belize City, and Orange Walk Town.
Are you always on the go? Tired of missing your favorite games while they're actually being played? Watch your games and sporting events live with Central TV and Internet's incredible MyTV. Simply log on to www.mitv.bz to get easy access to 25 channels, no matter where you are. With Central TV and Internet's MyTV, you're always in the game.
Conditions will improve later tonight, leading to much improved weather this weekend. The general forecast for Belize and her coastal waters is for showers and isolated thunderstorms to become isolated tonight and tomorrow morning. Winds will blow from the east to northeast at 10 to 20 knots with occasional higher gusts. The sea state will be moderate to rough. Operators of small craft are advised to exercise caution in rough seas. Low temperatures tonight will be around 78 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 73 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 68 degrees Fahrenheit up in the hills. High temperatures on Saturday will range from 86 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 96 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and a comfortable 77 degrees Fahrenheit up at the exposed areas of the mountain Pine Ridge and along the Maya Mountains in the south. The tides. There will be a low tide at 16 minutes past 11 o'clock tonight. A high tide follows at 17 minutes to 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun will rise at 25 minutes past 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. It will set at 6:31 tomorrow evening. The extended forecast, valid through to Sunday afternoon, is for partly cloudy skies with only isolated showers or thunderstorms developing. And that is a look at the weather, with information provided by forecaster Francisca Wellington at the Belize Weather Bureau. China begins cleanup following the passage of a typhoon Linfa, even as another bears down on the country. Here is the tropical update.
Well, Typhoon Linfa weakens as it hits southern China on Thursday. Still strong enough to flood roads, even damage a lot of homes. You can see the roof torn right off a building there. Not to mention the trees, branches being taken down by the strong winds. The storm has now faded out over land just in time for yet a new one to form as well. Right now, Typhoon Chanhong is moving towards southern China. Winds right now 125 miles per hour. This typhoon, equivalent to a Category 3 hurricane here in the States, is actually set to make landfall early on Saturday morning with winds at 90 miles per hour. 10,000 people have evacuated their homes, tying up fishing boats to get ready for the storm's approach, and definitely a concern here. Very active there in the western Pacific.
To end the news, here are the headlines again. Mid-afternoon murder shocks the community in Benqueviejo del Carmen. Special envoy for women and the children wraps up working visit in Taiwan. And the media workers explore setting up foundation in honor of a fallen colleague. With the headlines, we end this edition of the 9 o'clock news. As we head out this Friday evening, we hope that you and your family will have a safe and an enjoyable weekend. Don't forget the female football games this Sunday at the Norman Broster Stadium starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I am Patrick Jones. Have a good evening and a good night.